So what exactly does the word epistrophy mean? I'm Ron Drodos, and welcome to my journey through the real book, number 109. Yes, I'm going in order, and this is the 109th video. Out of 400, I gave myself, 8-year project, 400 tunes, about one a week, usually on Fridays, and I hope you're doing something similar, or this inspires you. You don't have to go through the whole book, you know. It took me decades before I decided to do this, but lots of great stuff in here, and Epistrophy is one of them. The tune was composed by Thelonious Monk and Kenny Clarke in 1941. This is very early in the bebop period. And Monk was the house pianist at Minton's Playhouse, a club in uptown, upper Manhattan, Harlem. Not sure if he was there exactly in 1941 as he composed this, but that's really one of the the fertile jam session scenes that bore bebop. Bebop was developed out of that with Monk and Kenny Clarke and others. Sort of independently, Charlie Parker was doing something similar in Kansas City, and Dizzy Gillespie and these people, but Monk was at Minton's Playhouse in Harlem. And there wasn't an early recording of any of this stuff because there was, believe it or not, a musicians union ban on instrumentalist recording right when bebop was being developed. It's called the Petrillo Band. You can check it out. Probably one of the more absurd parts of modern musical history, but nobody recorded as an instrumentalist for a couple of years, right when bebop was being developed. So you can find bootleg, you know, what used to be called bootleg recordings, live recordings from Minton's now. It's pretty fascinating. It's like where the swing era and bebop really were mixed together, and bebop was growing and developing. So the tune Epistrophy, you know, the beboppers liked to invent names that were scientific sounding, sort of hipster jargon at the time. Charlie Parker, you know, or even use existing names like ornithology, the study of birds, and bird, Charlie Parker, get it? The study of birds. He wrote a tune called Ornithology. You know, anthropology. Parker made up names. I think, if I can pronounce it, Collectivitzstein. Sounds like a German word or something. He liked those kind of things. Epistrophy is yes and no in terms of invented. If you spell the word with an E at the end instead of a Y, I looked this up. It's based on, comes from the Greek language, and it means something similar to this. It means a series of sentences or phrases that all end in the same word. So there's some built-in repetition. Da 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 ba, da 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 ba. That same word happening at the end every time. And it's sort of like this. Repeat. So there's some element of this repetition, almost, in this case, almost obsessive repetition happening. Very motivic composition, to say the least. It's challenging because it goes up by half steps. So what are you going to do there? You know, experiment. There's some techniques you can use to get familiar with these. I've practiced this tune so many times over the years. Another feature it has, which is not apparent from the lead sheet, is a 4/6 rhythm. 4 underlying beats and 2 quarter note triplets above it. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Down, 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 which comes from African music, African drum music in particular, and it's really permeating throughout jazz history, but it's not really on the surface. But I read an interview with Wynton Marsalis once, and he said, for instance, if you listen to Billie Holiday, he said, if you listen to her sing, and you just sing to yourself quarter note triplets, dun, 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 often her phrasing will line up with those. And I've done it. You can hear it. I didn't hear it all the time, but you can hear it at times. It sort of goes along with the swing beat. So there you have it. So what they do is often it's like this. With C sharp and D dominant 7th chords with the sharp 9 on top. That's what Monk would do. If you listen to the original recording of this, you'll get a sense of that. So I'm just going to see what happens and start with that kind of an intro and try to keep maybe some of that feel going for a while. Let's see. Here we go, Epistrophy. It's a great tune, and you know, I wasn't kidding before when I said I've practiced it a lot. This tune just mystified me for many, many, many years, maybe 25 years. You know, because you can't play any of your usual licks on it. They just sound corny. You know, you can't go. You can't just. Parker licks don't work on this. Matter of fact, I think there's a live recording of Parker playing this. Either this or Well You Needn't. One of the two on the Dean Benedetti recordings. And you can hear Parker struggling a little bit on this one too. You know, Monk's a hard composer to play. So I'm just delighted that after decades, you know, I can even play this stuff. You know, it takes a long time. So I also, you know, Monk has this old time feel to a lot of his music too. The stride, you know, when he's playing solo piano. So I was kind of approximating some of that too. Very pianistic things, not just, you know, chords in the left hand and soloing in the right. So again, with this whole journey through the Real Book series, I hope this is a jumping off point for you to get interested in these tunes, give you a little background on them too, which nobody really gave me. The internet wasn't invented when I was learning in the late 70s and through the 80s. So enjoy this. If you're interested in Skype lessons or my video course, check me out at keyboardimprov.com. I'd love to get you to the point where you're really playing with fluency, fluidity, and whatever you want to learn. I'll help you with that. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you next week with John Coltrane's Equinox.